Hello everyone and welcome to Double 7 Productions. Tonight is the Hollywood 150 at Auto Club Speedway for the Elite JoinAPS series. Of course, you know, Justin Krasniski is joining me in the booth as we get a message from the admins. And let's go through your starting grid while they're still on the grid. We got Chad Frankenfield and Ethan Burrell starting 1-2 up there in the first row. Second row, we got Josh Furr, Kendall Noah Player, Josh Adams, and Levi Zelensky. Levi Zelensky, of course, changing numbers this week to revert back to his regular 97 instead of 77 that he's been running. We have Jason Cameron and Dylan Hickey, Stephen McGough and Tyler Riggs running at the top 10. Starting 11th, you got Josh Clark and Jack Ritchie starting 12th. Brandon Key, Scott Haney in the row behind them. J.R. Bolden and Thomas Shearman. Thomas Shearman making his debut tonight. Chris Jordan and Josh Robin. Chris Jordan being the last to set a time. And we got Jacob Plank, Rusty Kappel, Joshua Personat, Peter Heward, Shane DeMantova, Logan Shea. Looking like they're all, I'm not sure if they're all out on track, but they are all rounding out the field tonight. I'd ask Justin a question, but I think he's MIA right now, so that's awesome. Are you alive, Justin?
I'm trying to figure out my microphone.
You're good, you're good.
Oh, what's going on?
Anyway, so went through the starting grid. I was going to ask you, before we start this, we should probably make some kind of prediction on what we think we'll see tonight here in this race. And, you know, after last week, we had some less than great things happen.
Yeah, a lot of unhappy campers. I think tonight's going to be all about keeping it out of the wall, and I wouldn't be surprised to see people upset if they get put in the fence off on one of these corners with some tire wear tonight.
Now we see Chad Frankenfield. He goes on the pace car. Cannot blame him. I would go early too. Definitely would not want to wait around. Oh gosh, my screen is all messed up right now. See them side by side, almost 3 wide behind, with the 88 and 97 side by side, which, you know, early on could be a good thing, but after last week's incident, I think we have to worry about that.
I talked to a lot of guys pre-race and up in the week leading to this. The official B-Fix lobbies this week were all in late afternoon, transitioning to almost a sunset time if they went long enough. And of course, this race is starting just after 4 o'clock on iRacing scheduled time, so very much still in the afternoon. We might see some late afternoon towards the end of this thing, 75 laps, but going to be a lot tighter, a lot lower center of the corner speeds tonight. So I think guys are going to have to manage the right side tires especially, and definitely not rush things here on these long runs.
Yeah, I completely agree with you with this discussion pre-race about what we think we expect to see from the field tonight, and we all, for the most part, agreed that it's going to be rather tricky with how tight it's going to be. I think the 94 might be blinking, so that's why he's falling to the rear right now. You got somebody in the grass, somebody else is blinking, 72 as well. Jeez.
72, the 194, they're all blinking just a little bit. Hope everything gets settled out for them through the field. Chad's still leading here as we complete lap number 2. Ethan Burrell not far behind, just about 3/10. Joshua Furr another 3/10 back from that. A couple of different iRacing schemes tonight. Or maybe I'm just an idiot not running trading paints, but
yeah,
probably
you're not, because they all have paints on my end.
All right, ignore me then. If I refer to a car as red or blue, it's probably not. Oh, Joshua Adams, the big moment there off turn 2.
Josh Adams, he hit the wall. He's just barely scraped it. He didn't have it wasn't to that point of substantial damage or anything like that, but he did hit the wall there. I seen it for a moment. We got a battle with Dylan Hickey and Josh Clark. I always forget who drives that 28 car. And behind them, you got Brandon Key and Steve McGough going at one another as well, side by side down the front stretch.
A couple of good spots early for those guys. All of them have moved up a couple of spots just on the inside and the outside top 10. That's about 8th through 11th spot. Solid run for a couple of those guys. We see Brandon Key running about 10th to 15th every week. Good to see him up in the top 10, as well as Steve McGough running about 11th right now.
Yeah, and J.R. Bolden was trying to make a move, or he did make a move on Jack Ritchie in the 72. Or no, he didn't. He didn't get by him. But now Jacob Plank's going to make a pass on
contact there.
Well, they're blinking, so
13 car went just a little bit wide there, a little contact from Brandon Key. He's going to lose maybe 3 or 4 spots. I think everybody makes it though off of turn 4.
Yeah, I missed that because of following the one car. Didn't get to see that contact happen, but yes, it did happen. The 13 definitely has side damage now. Got Scott Haney. He's trying to make that move on Jack Ritchie now.
Spinner off of 2.
I
It
think
was
that
Levi.
might be. Yeah, I was gonna say I think that might be the 97. I don't know what happened to Levi there. See if we can go see what happened.
He just dropped the right front or left front on the apron. Yeah, he did. Up in the fence hard, tried to save that car, and sometimes, you know, Vic, sometimes you just gotta take the fact that you crash and spin that car out instead of trying to save it, and you end up in the fence like that.
I think the thing is he had it saved up until he realized there was traffic nearby, and then he turned too hard to one side. Unfortunate, his bad luck streak continuing despite having a new number this week, or a returning number, I guess is what it would be.
I was gonna say we're gonna see him back in the 77 next week, because obviously it's not the number on the side.
Well, I don't think we're gonna see him back in the 77 at all this season, and I couldn't blame him.
Still really unfortunate though. Obviously, was running very well up in the top 5, solidly started up towards the front, and needs to just make up some points here. I know we got 2 splits of the season here, so he's going to get a reset in 4 or 5 weeks, but definitely not how he wanted to have this first.
Yeah, and well, we're actually talking about people that are impressive right now. We have Jason Cameron in 4th, and we got Tyler Riggs in 5th right now. Those are guys we don't always see up front. I think you're lagging again, Justin. We see him coming down pit road. Looks like it's going to be the entire field. Shane DiMantova is going to stay out. I think he's going to be the only one that stays out. Looks like Ethan Burrell might pass Chad Frankenfield on pit exit there. Believe he did beat him out of pit road. I think Justin's still having connection issues, or?
Oh, we're Gucci. I just throughput it. I'll be back.
Okay, I was like, you're yeah.
Yeah.
You started lagging at the end of your what you were saying, and I honestly thought that you totally lost connection.
You thinking I died, Vic? Is that what you're looking for? You're hoping I died?
Man, never. I know you have like 17 years left on you.
Wow, we're putting a number on it now, really? I mean, I understand.
Well, I mean,
you're
the life. I know what the life expectancy is. Okay.
So you're running pain schemes now to mock me in my early death?
I'm not mocking you, man. I'm supporting you.
Wow. Listen here, everybody. He's been posting all week about his podium finish in the Relentless Racing League Xfinity Series with the cystic fibrosis car. And I just want you all to know that it is not in good faith. He is definitely taking shots at me.
It is definitely in good faith. I mean, if you listen to my interview on Max Speed, you can hear it's definitely in good faith. Either way, Shane DiMantova going to be the one that stays out under this caution. Ethan Burrell did indeed beat the 15 of Chad Frankenfield off pit road. You got to be careful when you're like saying beat and then you go on with the sentence.
Well, I mean,
don't want to rewrite that.
Beats his meat off pit road.
Yes, well, we already got, you know what? This week it wasn't Levi.
Oh.
Hashtag blame Justin.
Tarnish the reputation of Elite as a whole, so we're good there.
Damn.
But beside the point, we've talked about this. We talked about this last season at Kansas with Logan Simmons. Funnily enough, was here last week, of course. I like the call. Why not? If you're running outside the top 15, roll the dice. Worst that happens is everybody dies, and we've seen it before. So might as well take a stab at it.
Yeah, it's you're not wrong, not at all. I wish you were, but. I think we're going to step away because there's nothing to talk about, so we'll be back. Okay, so here we are. We're back. Justin's kind of, I think, back in the session. Got Shane D. Mantova. He's going to elect the outside. Probably the smart option here.
Yeah, I like the call. I like staying out and taking a stab at, trying to see what you can do out front. He was running back about 20th spot, but at the same time, he's going to have to be awfully careful when they come off turn 2 and everybody has a lot bigger run than he gets.
Yeah, and he looked like he has a relatively clean car. Of course, not entirely clean because it's... Oh, J.R. Bolton gets spun around on the restart.
Maybe end up in the grass, though. I think people are going to get black flags, maybe. Good clean getaway from the front, about 10, though. Everybody else behind that, unfortunately, stacks up, obviously. Just one of those things.
I believe Jacob Plank might have accidentally spun the one car of J.R. Bolton.
That's just anticipation. Plank is one of those guys that's always trying to time stuff out and get big runs, and didn't really work out that time. But, Shane held him really, really late, and, everybody was antsing up towards him and just run out of space, unfortunately. Sometimes at a place like this when you're trying to time it out and you can't really see where anybody is in front of you.
Yeah, it is. It's unfortunate. It happened so late, like you just said. It's not something that's uncommon.
If we had a question about new tires, there it is right there. First to about 7th spot in basically half a lap. Ethan Burrell's going to get to the lead. Chad had a little bit of a fight on the inside of turn 4, but could not get off the corner. Unfortunately, going to drop back to 2nd place. Adams is going to come back and take a shot at the inside of him for 2nd spot now. Burrell's going to gate about a 3-car length advantage. Shane's still hanging up on the outside tough, about 8th spot, but I think he's unfortunately going to just go backwards for about 5 or 10 laps here.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to continue to fall here. It's unfortunate for Shane to have that occur, but of course, we knew that staying out was going to have that consequence, and he knows it. He's well aware of it.
I mean, he was running about 20th spot. If he gets a yellow here in 5 or 10 laps and he's running 12th or 15th, that's a net gain. So, I mean, I like the call when you're back running there and trying to find something. You got to do something a little bit different than everybody else sometimes.
No, I completely agree with you, 100%. And we still got a battle up front with the 15 and 88. Real tight
a big
battle.
Pinch.
Yeah.
Still holding tough on the outside. We were talking, I was talking to Chad earlier, it's really hard to make that inside line work in these Xfinity cars, especially with the tire setup and the higher track conditions. You just cannot get the power down and, be able to go straight. When you get on the power in these Xfinity cars, as you know, Vic, the thing just basically goes straight. It's not like the Cup car where you can break the rear tires and try to get some momentum. It's, it's trying to stay off the fence first and foremost. So it's definitely tough, especially as this tire wear, to try to run the bottom lane.
Yeah, it's completely, it's tough to... It's tough to be down there, but it's also tough to pass on the top side. From what I've learned here is that you kind of want to use as much of the track as possible, and if you're not able to use the bottom when you're on the top, then there's an issue there, and if you're on the bottom, you can't use the top. So There's not. I don't think there's really a total loss here on somebody that's going to lose, you know, this set amount of time or whatever.
Yeah, they were 3 wide back entering turn 3 back between Thomas Sherman, Shane on his way backwards, and then Josh Robin trying to work his way up through the field. Actually, Shane's going to get in the fence right there.
Oh, it was a good job by
Off
Key and
everybody.
Capel to avoid him.
Yeah. And that could have been a big mess. Unfortunately, he's fallen all the way back to 17th spot already, but good job avoiding that for everybody else. Up front, Adams has finally cleared Chad for 2nd spot now. He's hoping to set his sights on Ethan Burrell, but he's got about 8 tenths to make up already. And obviously, Chad and Furr are still right behind them, looking to get back by.
Yeah, and I think everybody's single filed out for the most part, except for Scott Haney. He's trying to pass the 2 car right now. Of Josh
It looks
Robin.
like 2 car, yeah, the 2 and the 22 are both running that outside line pretty well. They're going to go by Scott Haney. Of course, next in front of them is going to be Jacob Plank. Josh Robin's really been on the move starting back at 18th. Obviously, that quick yellow pit stall back towards the turn 4 end of pit road has hurt him a little bit, but he's going to work his way just outside the top 10, so a good charge forward thus far for driver number 2.
Yeah, we also, a little farther back, have a battle between Jack Ritchie and Dylan Hickey. That Dylan Hickey's going to get the better of that battle.
Rusty got the wall a little bit there off of turn number 2, as did Shane, I believe. There, he just got a little bit tight. Both of those guys are going to go by Shane. At least they're trying to. Shane's trying to fill that gap, and he does. Right up underneath Dylan Hickey. Careful there, Shane. Him almost contact off of turn 4. Shane's kind of in a tornado right now.
Yeah, Shane's just kind of, he's just got to bide his time right now.
He's got to ride this one out, unfortunately. Obviously, I thought the tires would hold up a little bit better than this. Only been about 6 laps and basically falling down all the way through everybody. But, you know, unfortunately, you know, hopefully now nobody else knows that they should take any tires, maybe 2 tires at the end. But definitely you can't stay out even on 8 or 9 lap tires because you are just a sitting duck thus far.
Yeah, that is how it looks. Is still got Kendall Player. He just got by him on the backstretch. So great now.
Field singled out now.
Yeah. Okay, it looks like most of the field is singled out. Yeah.
We kind of saw this coming, though. I mean, you and I talked with Rowdy and with Chad and with Josh Personette earlier, and it was just really tough with these conditions. With the way the late afternoon works on iRacing here, the colder the track temp is for the Xfinity cars, they turn more grip, but the tire wear really hurts the right front tire with the cooler track temp. But the more you warm it up, the idea, hopefully, or in the Cup cars at least, is that you get a little bit more slip and slide. When you put the power down, spin the rear tires, make some more traction, corner exit. But in the Xfinity cars, unfortunately, it's just not the case. It just slows your corner speed, and you really just end up burning the right front a little bit quicker. So we're going to see a lot of single file racing, I think, until we get to the point where the tire wear really affects guys and we have comers and goers. But for this middle part of the run, I think we're going to see a lot of guys riding in line, just trying to conserve where they're at.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. It's the hotter track temps is obviously not going to help these cars. I don't know if it'd even help the Cup cars at this point.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even think about that. With the new Cup package, it's basically like a truck, I guess is the best way to put it. So you're right. I bet you we saw a little bit in the peak race this past week. A couple of guys said that with the open sets, they could run wide open for, you know, a handful to a dozen laps. And, you know, at that point, it was, you know, a little bit about lifting where you needed to and staying off the guy that was on your outside. So a little bit similar to what we'd see in the trucks, or a little bit less so in the Xfinity cars, as far as just run your own line and trying to stay off the fence as usual. It's really tough to get a loose set here with basically, I don't want to say a flat track, 'cause there's some banking here, but compared to Michigan, a sister track, fairly flat racetrack, and long straightaways to build up momentum.
Yeah, and while you were talking, Brandon Key got around the 22, and Chris Jordan is attempting to get around the 3 right now.
He's going to complete that pass off of turn 2. Good job for Chris. I know he practiced a ton this week. I talked to him earlier. Obviously, a member of the JK Racing stable. He said he put in almost 200 laps of practice through B-Fix and stuff like that. But he said almost all that was in the late afternoon session. So he's a little bit struggling tonight. He knew he was just trying to get some seat time and hopefully learn a little bit about the weather differences here tonight.
Yeah, and Jack Ritchie is getting around Rusty Capel. So is his teammate, Kendall Player. Both same paint scheme. Love that paint scheme. Love the idea of having.
You're biased.
I'm biased. Yes, completely, 100%. I'm biased. I'm guilty.
You probably think mine looks great too, because the painter's just a great guy.
I don't like your paint.
Oh.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't. That's probably the one paint scheme I'm very ashamed of. It's
Oh,
way
we
too
got a few
basic.
weeks to change it up.
I know, but I have no ideas. Which doesn't help the situation. Plus, I have to put a custom number on it by the time that you get back on track.
Let's put the syrup on the car. I'm telling you.
Yeah, maybe. That's what we've
kind of Frank emoji.
Yeah, no joke. We have like a 4 car battle. Sorry, I can't count. Going on between Clark, Plank, Heward, and I believe that's Robin.
Good little battle up there. Like I said, Robin's making really good time. He might think about going 3 wide here on the inside of Plank. That Plank's going to get back in line. He's really on the charge. Josh Robin is basically up from, like I said, about 18th, looking to take about 7th spot right now. And up in front of him, Stephen McGough is not too far ahead of him. A couple of guys we need to shout out, though. Jason Cameron, while that's going on your screen, is running up in 6th spot. And Tyler Riggs, a great run, hanging on to those front 4. He's running in 5th right now, right up behind this lead pack.
Yeah, and while we're actually all about people that have been impressive, Josh Robin, he since his debut here in this series, he's been very, very impressive. I believe he's got like 2-ish, maybe. I think it's like 2 or 3 top 5 finishes. So he's definitely impressive.
Definitely a guy we need to keep an eye on as far as later in the season.
Yes, 100%. I would say absolutely, but you gave me a hard time last season when I said that, so.
I did no such thing.
No.
Would not do
while we're
such
talking
a thing.
about the back of the field, though, we have another battle going on between Adams and Frankenfield up at the front for 2nd place. Just about a second off the leader, this is occurring. Chad's going to hold on to it.
Goodness, iRacing doesn't like me today.
Did you fall through again?
No, just doing 6 FPS.
Love it.
So
I see Josh Robin go to the inside, so you're pointless at this point then. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, good. Like what we were talking about, Robin's on the hunt. I mean, basically untouched right now. He's going to drive all the way to 7th place on this run.
Yeah, Plank's actually going to attempt to go and follow Robin around McGough. Of course, McGough blocking down the front stretch. Can't blame him, but I think at this point in the run, you just don't block. It's not going to be slow.
Yeah. They're hanging right about 2.5, maybe 3 seconds behind that top 5 group up there with Ethan, Chad, Adams, Fern, Riggs. So, at this point, it's kind of, we're getting to that point. It's been about 15 laps. I said you're going to have some tire wear. You're going to have some comers and goers. So if a guy is clearly faster than you, it's at best point at this point, basically, just pull over, make sure you don't hit the fence, and, realize you got at least one more pit stop coming up and fight again.
Yeah, and I mean, if these guys do get green flag pit stops, how many of them do you think have practiced?
I'm going to say 0.
Yeah, I would say that's a fair assessment, a fair bet.
Yeah, I'm going to say 0. I remember even after running some elite races in the past, Jesse Pierce and I, of course, when we were both members of Speed with Attitude Motorsports, we were running a Daytona race, and he decided to tell me after he spun coming to pit road that was the very first time he'd ever come to pit road at speed. So, a lot of these guys, it's just not something you need to practice if you run.
When we're talking about this, I actually remember the first time I ever pitted under green. Crazy to think about that, but the first time ever that I pitted under green was the 2017 iRacing Daytona 500. Also my very first NIS race ever. And
well,
I ended up finishing pretty decent, but like I had to practice. Like I went in like 2 to 3 times in practice at speed, learning where to brake and such. And I to this day, I keep that same braking point in the Cup car.
Well, I mean, like we talked about, Vic, if you run B fixed, C fixed, A fixed, anything that's not basically Open Series or NIS, you don't make green flag pit stops on iRacing. So outside the leagues and some of the longer races that are offered, you'd never need to come to pit road under green. So it's not a thing that's practiced a lot, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, it's not something that you need to be a master at as long as you're just good enough to not lose heaps of time or not speed, not crash. I mean, it's kind of a lost art here on iRacing to a point.
Yeah, we have a battle going on for third, 3-car battle right now between Adams, Furr, and Riggs.
Yeah, Furr took a big look inside of Adams down to turn 3 the last time. I couldn't make it stick down the front stretch, and he's come under attack from Tyler Riggs now. Meanwhile, these 5 guys, if you're counting Ethan, continue to just pull away from everybody else. Jason Cameron's running about a half a tenth or a tenth off of them per lap, but even Josh Robin back in 7th spot is losing a tenth to 2/10 a lap on these guys. So they're just running really good lap times. I'm curious if any of them are saving any tires or anything like that, or if these guys are going to fall off at a different rate, or what's going to happen. But we're just getting to about halfway through a fuel run at this point, and I think we're going to start seeing some guys move around the racetrack a little bit, trying to find some grip as these right front tires wear out.
Yeah, and actually while we're talking about lap times, so at the line that time, the fastest lap time actually went to Jacob Plank.
He's back in that little group with Robin, and behind them is Josh Clark and Peter Hayward. So they got a nice little battle going, about 6 or 8 cars back there, about 8th to 12th spot.
Yeah, we have Adams passing Frankenfield for 2nd place. Power move
yeah,
to the inside there.
Yeah, I think Chad might have had a little mistake right there in turns 1 and 2, because he lost a lot of time down the backstretch, and that's going to allow Adams to get 2nd spot here.
Yeah, Frankenfield not going to let it go easy, though. Back to the inside of Adams.
It's going to be tough down there on the bottom. We've seen it before. You're just going to have to carry, so little corner speed that if you can get off on it, even with a guy, it's definitely a win to try to get off the corner and not push up at all. You could exit there, though, I'm not going to lie. Chad's going to be able to hang out. They're letting Ethan get away, though, about 1.3 seconds, but definitely better racing than I thought we'd see at this point, the run between guys up in the top 5.
Yeah, I think we definitely anticipated them getting entirely too tight for these side-by-side battles going on, but Riggs is trying to make a move on Furr while this battle in front of them is going on.
Yeah, I was just going to give a call. Tyler Riggs has done a phenomenal job to this point, almost 20 laps into the 2nd row of the race, and he's hanging right up with some of the big guys here in the Elite iRacing, Xfinity series. So he's doing a fantastic job here tonight. California must be obviously one of the tracks he's circled and look forward to, but he is giving it to him and looking for a top 3 or even, better result tonight.
Yeah, and he's been kind of, I would hazard to say he's been a dark horse. Let me try this again. I would say he's been a dark horse. Oh, man.
No hazards here. No sand traps.
No, I'm just having a day, man. One of those days.
I understand. Chad's going to go back to the inside of Josh Adams there, still trying to make the bottom work.
Yeah, and Logan Shea up top there. He's, I think he's just having a rough night. He's, making his return to the series tonight.
Got some damage, a couple laps down. Good of him to get out of the way there. Appreciate that from Logan in his return. Giving some respect to these guys battling up in the top 5.
Yeah, and we still, I wanted to focus on something other than up front, but right now everybody in the back is not really racing side by side, but this battle for 2nd is just, it's persisting, it's going on, and I'm kind of surprised it's still going on.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of, I think Chad's tires are probably a little bit better than Adam's. We saw Adam fall back a little bit, and he just was able to get that run and go by Chad, and now I think that they're pretty equal. A little better tires on the 15, allowing him to just hang right on the inside of the double zero. Looking at the wrong Josh. Joshua Racing League here. The 88 car, but of course as we go it's going to even out a little bit more, and Chad just needs one really good corner like he got right there to hopefully be able to clear the 88 car once again. It's going to be really tight off the corner. He can't quite do it that time.
Yeah, no, but they're still side by side. Frankenfield up has a nose in front. I would say half a car length or width or whatever.
Ed was in there a little bit shallower than Josh. He's going to be able to complete the pass. Adams was in there just a little bit too hot and couldn't quite get the thing down to the 2nd groove where he needed it, back to single file. But all that's let Ethan Burrell get about 1.5 seconds up in front, which of course is a huge advantage here. He can do his own thing, run his own line. And like we talked about briefly, Vic, is Adams is going to take a look back to the inside and dive really hard in turn 1. But having that lead allows you to pit about a lap later than everybody else. I mean, he doesn't have to be proactive and make a mistake. If these guys all come to pit road on lap 42, he can come on lap 43 and probably still be right up in this mix. It's not like he's going to lose huge chunks of time with the 1 lap later pit stop. Yeah,
but he could also do the undercut and be farther out front by pitting first.
Yeah, well, of course, I want to say you won't go a lap down here, but it's really, really tight to go a lap down here at California. I've had to go both ways. It really just depends how good your pit stop is.
I think you have to be within 5 seconds of the leader not to go a lap down.
Yeah, obviously, as a leader, he can control that the best, but it's one of those things where obviously he's going to be looking to split this basically in half if he can, as we come up to about 40 laps to go, 25 laps in this run. So if he can go about another 8 to 10 laps there. You'll be about 35 laps into the run, 35 laps to go. Ideal time to start looking for a pit stop. But I think somebody's going to try something a little different, whether it be short pit at the beginning of the fuel window or go long and try to catch a yellow flag.
That's entirely possible. That we've seen things happen like that.
Tyler Rake still trying to work the outside line, just got a little bit too tight through the center, had to drop back behind Joshua Furr. The top 5. I'd love to see it. I was a little bit apprehensive about it, Vic. I'm not going to lie to you, but these guys have proven me wrong. It's not the best racing we've ever seen. It's definitely not the best racing we've ever seen at Auto Club. Some of the night races here on iRacing have been fantastic, but for what we've got tonight and the track conditions, these guys up 2nd through 5th are giving us a good show to look at right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. And there's some battles kind of going on in the back of the field. We got Scott Haney passing Stephen McGough right now to his inside. And they have Thomas Shearman making his series debut tonight in front of them. Give them some airtime here. And these guys, they might not be racing, for the lead or for that top 5 like we were focusing on there, but these guys are definitely putting in their all. I think Chad's making his pit stop. Yes, he is. So Chad will be the first to drop off the track to make his pit stop.
I think this is a little bit early unless these guys are running off fuel. I don't think they should be running off fuel in 25 laps around here, but maybe you can do 40, 45 laps on fuel, but even then that's a long way to go on these front tires. So obviously Chad has a plan in mind. He's looking good in the points thus far, so we can afford to gamble a little bit, but I think this is a little bit too early, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but do you think Ethan Burrell sees that and goes, well, hey, I need to pit now? Or do you think, no, he's not. He's going to stay out at least this lap. See, Riggs looks like he's making his turn down to pit road now.
It's such a fine line, Vic. You know this. In the Xfinity Series, as cars especially, when you come to pit road, Chad's going to be about 1.5 seconds to nearly 2 seconds, probably a lap faster right now. But he did get lapped, actually, coming from where he pitted. But he's going to go right back by these guys. The only problem is going to be, even if it's 5-10 laps until he comes in, he's going to be, a second or more off pace from what these guys are doing right now. So it's such a fine line about how far Burrell can let him go before he has to pull the trigger for himself.
Yeah, I think once he gets by Adams, so I think this next lap, Burrell, it would be time for Burrell to come in, and just to ensure that he doesn't get passed here on the racetrack. Because I think he wants to come in, and we see a bunch of people come down pit road. Hickey, Key, Jordan, all on pit road. Capel, a lot of the people that were toward the rear. I think this lap would be the smart lap for Burrell to pit to ensure that he would stay in front of Frankenfield. I think the gap between them right now would be the gap that it would be when he gets fully up to speed again.
Yeah, we saw just a little bit ago when Chad came to pit road, he lost about exactly a lap as far as where he came from. So my general rule of thumb on these tracks where that's the case, here, Michigan, Pocono, etc. As soon as, if you got the guy a lap down like you have right now, it's all good. But Chad's going to easily go by right here. This next lap, I would come to pit road. You're not gaining anything. You've got your couple lap fresher tires, and Chad's got. And as long as you're in your fuel window, you should be coming out right about here or within a couple seconds of him and be able to hunt him back down at this point.
Yeah, we actually have a bunch of battles going on all over the racetrack. Jack Ritchie spins it onto pit lane. It was a single car spin there for Jack Ritchie. Unfortunate, he's been having a good couple of weeks. He had a rough end to last week's race when he had a good run going, but
yeah, gets it righted. Nobody else was coming to pit road at that time, so
well,
looking
Sherman
good.
Was, but Jack he kept it to the far left of pit road.
Still staying out for Burrell, so he's going to go long here. He's listening to our broadcast, must be, and thinking that he's going to try to split this in half, maybe go 4 or 5 more laps, and hope that the tires are good enough when he comes to pit road that he can run Chad back down, because Chad's obviously going to have a pretty decent gap on him whenever that's the case. And obviously the advantage of this is, even if you get to him at the end of the run, you can basically just go where he isn't. You're going to be plenty faster than him. The only concern is with guys like Tyler Riggs having come to pit road, other guys, Joshua Clark. If he has to go through traffic, then he's going to, burn those tires off trying to get back to Chad if he has to pass too many cars.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say Josh Robin just hit pit road that last lap, and we've seen Josh Robin. He's been making his way through the field. He also had a very slow pit stop, it looked like, so sub 16 seconds. So
yeah, we're down to about 8 cars that have not stopped yet thus far.
Yeah, I think at this point, I I mean, it's a smart strategy to not stop, but it's also you're losing a lot more time than you're gaining.
Yeah, at this point, you're almost committed to it, though. I mean, at this point, if you come to pit road now, Chad's going to be a couple seconds in front of you anyways, and you're not going to have that much fresher tires. And as long as the 88 and the 00 are still staying out behind you and you don't have to battle them on track, you got to keep going with what you've got right now. I mean, Tyler Riggs is still back there. So really your only competition as far as coming out directly behind someone is going to be Chad at this point. So I think it's a good call to keep waiting on. If you can stretch it 3 or 4 more laps, that's, 7 or 8 lap fresher tires and you're going to have on Chad by the time we get down to the late closing stages of this thing.
Yeah, that's you're entirely right here. But I mean, as we're saying, like Tyler Riggs, he just got by the 88 of Josh Adams, and now he's just hunting down Ethan. Absolutely hunting him down. And of course, Riggs was 5th before this pit cycle started, and now he's about to get his lap back from Ethan Burrell.
Yeah, he's going to cycle out this in he's going to be probably 2nd place when this whole cycle comes through. Obviously, some of these guys are
2nd or 3rd. He's definitely going to be in the top 3.
I mean, obviously, Ethan's going to have fresher tires along with the Joshua crew. But, for the time being, like I said, if they catch a caution at this point, they're in great shape as far as making something happen, being up front, having some track position, having gotten that pit stop out of the way.
Yeah, but what happens if there is no caution?
I'm really curious. It's always been a fine line, Vic. One of my favorite examples of this is at Charlotte in the trucks. A couple of league races I've done in the truck series at Charlotte. Not the new Charlotte where you just apparently are godlike, but the old Charlotte. It's really, really touchy. The thing gets really tight after about 10 laps, and then after that kind of settles for 20 to 25, and you really have to balance whether or not you want to come get tires then, as Ethan Burrell is going to come in right now.
Yeah, I was going to cut you off and say Ethan Burrell's coming to pit lane.
Gonna watch him now, and we're gonna watch where he comes out in relation to Chad. Chad was doing about 6 to 7 tenths at least a lap better than him on that last run, upwards of 1.2, 1.3 a couple of times. So it's gonna be very, very tight as far as where Chad comes out, but obviously on about 7 laps older tires at this point.
Yeah, Ethan Burrell just in his box now, and Chad coming around 3 and 4. I don't think he's gonna beat him out. Unless he takes tires.
Chad's going to probably end up about 8 to 10 seconds out in front, but obviously the fresh tires from Burrell are going to allow him to go on offense.
And Burrell's still in the pits, getting passed by Frankenfield. Frankenfield's going to be at least 10 seconds ahead of him.
Yep, there goes Riggs as well. So it looks like he's going to end up basically in the 3rd, maybe 4th spot as here comes Josh Robin. But of course, like I was just saying, he's going to be able to go on offense, and I don't think these guys are going to have much of a challenge. Obviously a fast car for Burrell, but he's going to have a lot of work to do to try to catch up to Chad once again.
Yeah, and Josh Adams and Jacob Plank both haven't pitted yet. I don't believe Josh Furr has either. Josh Furr is in pit lane, actually, from what I can tell. Yeah, he is in pit lane. I think Adams is going to pit this lap. No, he's not. He was down on the bottom, and I thought for sure he was going to come in, but...
He's trying to do the extreme of what Ethan Burrell did. He's trying to hope for a yellow, go all the way to the end, and not have to save tires at all. I mean, he's going to have basically 25 or so laps to go probably when he comes to pit road, and he's going to be able to go almost full offense. So it's an interesting strategy, and it could definitely pay off, but it's one of those things where he's definitely going to be in a little bit of a weird situation right now.
Yeah, and we got Ethan Burrell. He's actually catching Josh Robin a substantial amount.
Yeah, he's about 7 seconds, 7.5 seconds almost behind where Chad's at. He's only really got 2 cars to pass, though, to get up there. He's got to deal with Josh Robin right in front of him, and then up the road a little ways is Tyler Riggs. So that lap he ran a 41.48 to Chad's 42.50, so about 7 tenths. At that rate, of course, he'd be there in about 8 or 10 laps, but he's not going to be able to make that much time every lap, but he's got to probably be about 3 to 4 tenths average for these next 10 to 15 laps in order to get to a point where you can at least see Chad and put some pressure on him.
Yeah, and of course, we're talking about those guys, but we still got Adams is staying out to the extreme right now. Jason Cameron getting passed by Josh Furr.
Another one of those guys that came in very early, so he's going to cycle out to around 5th or 6th, but of course he's going to be on his way backwards as guys like, Adams and other guys come by on the fresher tires, but good strategy, I think. If you're not up towards the front, it's a good strategy. I'm worried about Chad trying to do basically 40 laps on the fuel run, or on a tire run, excuse me. They only did 25 laps when he came in, so he's trying to do 40 laps after doing 25. If he was struggling that bad that he felt like he needed to come in, he's going to be in a lot of trouble at the end of this run.
Yeah, and you got Kendall Player. He's trying to make a move on Thomas Shearman right now. That's a side-by-side battle. But yeah, as we're focusing on what's effectively the top three right now, with Burrell, Riggs, and Frankenfield, as well as Robin fourth and Clark fifth. Essentially, once all
right
the
up to
cycles
Riggs.
out. Yeah, we got Scott Haney. I didn't even realize Scott Haney had stayed out so far. Jacob Plank's hitting pit road. So Jacob Plank going to pit out of second place at the moment.
It must be right at the end of this fuel run here, getting towards it at least. Right about 40 laps now at this point since they've been the pit road under that first caution flag.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know how this is going to cycle for him. I don't think he's going to do as well as he might have imagined. I think he was hoping for a caution and it just didn't happen.
At this point, you're committed to it. The thing that I know Josh, he's a pretty smart guy. He knows what he's doing, but obviously it hasn't worked out with the yellow flag coming for him, but he's going to look at it and say, I got 4 tires. I don't have to save any. We're only going to have, 20 or so laps, maybe 25 to go when I come to pit road. There's no tire saving. There's no coasting in the corners. It's go hard, burn your stuff up, try to make up time, because he's going to be basically the most offensive guy in the whole field at that point.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Rell's gotten underneath and easily goes by Tyler Riggs. That's going to be for de facto second place. He's still got about 4 seconds to make up on Chad, but he's running right about 0.8 of a second better per lap. So probably about another 5-10 laps he's going to get within putting some pressure on Chad. And obviously he's got 25 laps to go, plenty of time on the fresh tires to really start working them over.
Yeah, but at this point, if the caution does come out, do you think this bites Burrell?
I think it does. Obviously, he was a little better out front, out in some clean air, got some benefit of some guys behind him battling. Obviously, Chad, starting on the pole, led that first chunk of the race, and it seemed like whoever was out front could kind of control the pace, control the lines, and really kind of just dictate how fast they wanted to go and where they wanted to put their race car. And we've seen that thus far, but I'm not entirely sure Chad's going to have a lot of fight to be able to hold off the 37. It's a great pit call because he's going to end up in a spot where the next car on fresh tires is a full 5 seconds behind where Ethan's at, and that would be Joshua Furr. And he's got a long way to go. Obviously, Ethan's only got about 3 or 4 seconds to go, but Josh Furr is going to have a lot longer to go, and Chad might end up in the positive for this or end up second or third, but I know he wants to win the race, but I think it's a good pit call if you're just looking at a point stay.
Yeah, I completely agree with you.
Still, the 3 and the 88 are staying out.
The thing is with Haney is that Chad is 2 seconds behind him. I think at this point you've stayed out too long.
Yeah, and it's not going to be a great pit call from Scott Haney tonight, and I think he understands that running where
Adams
he's running
pitting.
about 10th to 15th. Yep, here comes Adams to pit road.
Yeah, Adams is in pit lane. He's in his box. We'll see where he cycles out. Of course, Frankenfield wants Haney. I think Haney is probably going to stay out like 2 more laps. If I hazard a guess here, and he's going to get that lap led, and then he's going to pit. I think that's what he might have been going
good plan.
for. That's what I would do. But I don't know. I think he might be at the end of his pit window, and it might be about that time where he's going to be on fumes if he goes another, 1-2 laps.
Yeah, but again, why not? He wasn't going to make up a lot of spots doing the Chad strategy as far as coming in early and trying to go from there, so might as well go long, and hopefully, this 20-lap sprint run at the end here he's going to have, hopefully he can make up a couple of spots, end up maybe in the top 10. So
yeah,
why not roll the dice?
Yeah, there's Haney. He's getting his, I think that might be his first lap, maybe not first lap of the
Believe it might
season.
be. I don't think he led any at Daytona or Atlanta where I was in, so it might be.
I think this might be his first lap led, and of course, Chad Frankenfield is going to quickly take that lead, and he's like, I'll take that, thank you. You can pit now.
Yeah. Ideally now for Burrell would be that Scott would come to pit road right here and get out of his way, because Ethan's making some great lap times. He's about 1.5 seconds behind where Chad's at. Obviously just over 20 laps to go. Looking really good as Scott's going to be right in front of Ethan. He had the lift for him a little bit, but Ethan's not going to have too much trouble going by. And now it's just up to our top 2 with 22 laps to go.
Yeah, you got Ethan Burrell, making quick work of Scott Haney, almost as quick as Chad made the work of Scott Haney there. everybody in this field is not battling. Nobody's really side by side with anybody that I can tell looking at timing. Got Plank making a pass on Jordan.
Yeah, just for reference for people that were wondering what we're talking about with the tire wear differential, Joshua Adams pitting 15 or so laps later than what Chad pitted. He's running just about 17 seconds behind him, so nearly half a lap is what he lost going long. Of course, he's running much quacker, faster or quicker now. I can English. But the thing is, obviously, he's not going to make up 16 or 17 seconds, especially with Ethan Burrell also on fresh tires or relatively fresh tires right up at the front. But running that much faster, he's probably going to get up to about 7th or 8th would be my guess, but not what he wanted, obviously.
He's also running a full second quicker than Chad Frankenfield.
Battle for third here. Josh Robin has gone all the way up to Tyler Riggs. Obviously, Joshua Furr behind them has got even fresher tires than what Robin has, but the charge is on from 18th up to going to be third place here in just a second for Josh Robin. Great night tonight for the 2 crew after having a subpar qualifying effort, not being able to turn the lap.
Oh, Robin into the wall, actually.
Oh, he's in the fence.
Commentator cursed there.
Yep. 100%.
Furr's going to also... He just... Man, Riggs just couldn't catch a break there. One of those Fords was going to pass him. She shamed D. Mantova. I think he's a number of laps down coming off pit lane right now. Burrell passing Frankenfield for the lead right now. 20 laps to go.
Relatively easy off of turn 2, as we expected. Just 7-8 lap fresher tires. It doesn't have to be that much of a difference. It's just with as hard as Chad was running, I'm sure he didn't really have a lot of fight. And now the thing is, he's got 4 seconds back to try to protect. But I think Burrell's looking really good right now.
See,
he's leading the race, but
yeah, I was gonna say you see Mago making a pass on Capel. Key and Plank are battling. I believe Plank might have just got by Key, or the other way around. I don't know.
Key was going backwards a little bit. He was one of those guys that came to pit road early. He's still running up in the top 10, so good call for him. But Plank's going to move up as Key's heading backwards. But like I was saying on this strategy, he's got just about 4 seconds back to his teammate Chris Jordan for the top 10 spot. So in about the next 18 or so laps that we've got left here, might be able to hold on and get that top 10 here tonight. So I like the pit call. You got to do something a little bit different. Otherwise, you're just going to ride where you're at.
Yeah, and Adams just made quick work of Cameron. He is on the move. He's definitely going to try to be a factor in this race. I mean, I definitely think he's got a top 5 coming his way.
Yeah, the thing is, I think he's going to be able to catch up to Joshua Clark, who's not too far in front of him, and I think Tyler Riggs might fall back to him. I think Josh Robin, unless his right side damage is pretty bad, which it might be because he hasn't gotten back to Tyler Riggs yet, but I think that he has a little bit too fresh of tires and can run good enough lap times. But I think Clark is definitely in trouble, only being a second in front of where Adams is, and then obviously one of these two guys, or maybe even both of them, are running nearly a second or so off a lap of what Josh Adams is running. So obviously Adams is on the charge and has plenty of time to make up the 6-second deficit.
Yeah, and I think this is the longest green flag run we've had this season so far. I'm not going to try to jinx it here, but 17 laps to go. Do you think at some point somebody's going to get overly anxious and get antsy and get tired of waiting and just make their move and possibly cause a caution because of it?
I'm not sure. We're going to see a lot of guys battling, like I said, comers and goers as far as who has fresher tires. But at this point, a lot of the battles are so one-sided as far as who's got fresh tires and who doesn't. It's not even much of a fight. As soon as you get position on a guy, you can go by him pretty easily, much like we're seeing Shane do right now on Josh Furr. Obviously, Josh Furr is running up in the 3rd spot, but a couple lap fresher tires for Shane, and he's going to basically go right by down to turn 1. So not much fight available, and I think that as guys realize that and as we get further into the run here, it's going to become more and more about just racing your own race and staying off of the wall, and a lot less about where you're running, because at this point, you've made your bed, you're running where you're running, you've put your tires on, and it's just about maintaining as best you can.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I wish we had some side-by-side battles going on, but right now it doesn't seem like that's happening. Maybe Rusty Capel on the back with Jack Ritchie.
That is the one downside, Vic, though, is when we get situations like this where guys are doing completely different tire strategies, you know, this you get side-by-side battles for like a corner or a lap, and then the guy that has the tires is just so much quicker at that time that it's not even really a battle, it's just a pass. So we see a lot of good racing and different strategies, and that gives us something to talk about. But as far as side-by-side racing, it's really tough when you get guys that are on such different strategies.
Yeah, and I thought for a minute there Robin was going to get a pass on Riggs, but that just didn't formulate down the front stretch.
Try, because like we talked about, Josh Adams is just about 4.5 seconds behind these guys, but running much, much faster. So gonna have to find a way.
Yeah, and Plank going by Cameron. Cameron just lets him go by. Absolutely not going to battle him. You know, what's weird now is that Adams is still running a second quicker than Frankfield. I guess it's not weird because of how late he pitted, but I mean, it's just one of those things. I know it looks like Kendall Player. No, sorry. The timing screen was being a little off. Thought Kendall Player had stopped on track. I was like, oh no. So yeah, we still got Ethan Burrell. Ethan now leading by over 2 seconds. And he's going to pass Scott Haney at some point here in this one, maybe. I don't know if Scott's that far off pace, or I think Scott might have just got by him. I've been watching up front. I believe Plank just got by Clark. It's really hard to keep track of who's past who. Justin, he's got a big old rip going on right now. He'll be back here in a moment. This is the closest battle on track at the moment, except for Stephen McGough and Dylan Hickey side by side. Dylan Hickey going to get by the 22 of Thomas Shearman, as well as Stephen McGough getting by Shearman there in that battle. Got Furr catching Frankenfield pretty good now. Furr running 43 zeros and Chad running 43.3s. Fastest car on track right now is still Josh Adams with the newest tires on track. Actually, I take that back. It's J.R. Bolden. Never mind. I'm looking at the wrong times. It's Adams that's running the quickest times right now. Just barely over Scott Haney. And Josh Robin he's still trying to work on Tyler Riggs. Right now, this is a battle for 4th and 5th. I think this is a better run than Riggs probably could have anticipated. But they have Adams all over their rear end. Adams working his way through the field. 10 laps to go. Looks like he's going to look to the inside. Look to the outside. Watch the onboard camera here of Josh Adams. See this battle going on in front of him. Let's go to this camera instead. It looks better. 9 laps to go. These two still battling like they've been doing this entire run. Adams, of course, going to try to get by them, make quick work of them. Try to get back up to the front. Goes to their inside. Make 2 for 1 special there on the inside there. Robin going to try to get by Riggs as well, but I don't know if that's going to be a thing that happens. It's not. Riggs going to hold him off for now. Shearman and Hickey still battling for 15th and 16th. far back in the field. Fur all over the rear end now, Frankenfield. Robin just cannot get by Riggs. But Fur, he's gonna try to make this pass on Frankenfield, but I don't know if he's got enough left in it. They're running about the same lap times. Fur, he's still gonna try to make this pass. He last time by ran slower than Frankenfield actually. So maybe this tire's evening out for Frankenfield, giving him a chance. At the second place finish, they're about 4 seconds behind Ethan Burrell right now. 3.7 seconds. Six laps left in this one. 5 next time by. Fur still trying to figure out how he's going to get by Frankenfield right now. This is the closest battle on track at the moment, just looking at timing and scoring. There's nobody else really close and near each other. All these strategies playing out. Probably not entirely how everybody intended, but exactly how some people wanted. Take a ride on board with Fur as he's trying to make this pass on Frankenfield. Four more to go. He's got to try to make this pass work. I think he's going to try to use that 9 of Rusty Capel as a pick. Chad's own teammate. Capel going to get out of the way. Just let them race. Good on him. Good on him. Maximum respect there by Capel. Not playing part in this in politicking at the end. I don't think Justin's going to get back in time for the finish, but because I just got a message from him that was not looking promising. He's got an update, so. And Justin says in the chat, tire's going to be key for the 00. They're running the same exact time, so if not, Fur is actually running slower than Frankenfield is right now. I almost wonder if Shane D. Mantova is going to end up playing a part in this battle at the end. I don't know if he's going to pull over for these guys or if he's going to try to maintain his lane, probably on fresher tires than both of them. Bumper is going to be key. 2 laps to go. Ethan Burrell leading by almost 4 seconds. Actually, Ethan Burrell right now running the slowest lap times on track. That's crazy. He's so far out front, he knows he just doesn't have to wear off them tires anymore. Oh, and yes, D. Mantova's going to play a part in that battle. Frankenfield probably had to check up there. Not what Frankenfield wants, probably not what Fur wants, and definitely not what D. Mantova wanted there. DeMantova gonna stay on their top side into the wall. It's giving them as much room as possible. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go for Ethan Burrell. Still a very close battle between Furr and Frankenfield for the end of this one. It's right on board with Furr for the final lap. 22 there on the inside is spun. Furr to the inside of Frankenfield. And Furr, I think, might get second place. It's going to be a side-by-side battle. Ethan Burrell comes across the line as the winner here at Auto Club. Frankenfield going to get it at the line. Just barely. By inches. Let's take a look back at that. See if we can find a good angle at the line. I think we're going to watch from the chopper. This might give us our best angle we can get of it. I couldn't tell. I need better camera angles. Yeah, but we got Ethan Burrell. He's gonna take home that finish, and Chad Frankenfield, I think, got second. Burrell gonna do probably do some burnouts here. Yeah, and Burrell is gonna do some burnouts for us here on the front stretch. Burn it down. He doesn't need those tires anymore. Doesn't need that car anymore. Doesn't need that engine. Of course, it's iRacing, so you don't get to carry that stuff over race to race. Take a look at the results. We got Ethan Burrell. Josh Furr actually did get him by 0.04 right there. Frankenfield third. Josh Adams, Josh Robin, Tyler Riggs, Jacob Plank, Joshua Clark, Jason Cameron, and Kendall Player coming home in 10th place. Brandon Key, Chris Jordan, Peter Heward, Dylan Hickey, Jack Ritchie, Rusty Capel, Stephen McGough, Thomas Shearman, J.R. Bolden, Scott Haney running out the top 20. 21st, we got Shane DeMantova, Logan Shea, Levi Zelensky, and Josh Personette running out the field tonight. So I think we'll pull some interviews in. Ethan Burrell, Vic Bloom in the booth, got me?
Yeah, I got you.
It was a great win out there. It came down to strategy at the end. Obviously, the second half of the race there, green flag. What do you got to say? How'd you figure that strategy out there at the end?
Oh man, it was a great race. Yeah, no, I felt like if I could get out to the lead, I could pull a little gap on those guys, and with them battling like that before that pit call, it worked good for me because I was able to kind of just cruise and save my stuff and maintain that lead. And I saw Chad come down from third, I believe, and I thought, I didn't want to wait too long after he pitted, but I also wanted to stretch it as far as I could out front. And so I kind of ended up just pitting right between Chad and Josh, and it worked out where I was able to just run Chad down, and I think Josh just waited a little bit too long, so I didn't see him come back up there. But man, it was a good run for sure. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a great strategy. I was wondering about your strategy because I would have thought once Chad passed me, is that at that point I would have pitted so that I was assured that I would have 100% came out in front of him. But you definitely played your card rights. Try this again. You definitely played your cards right tonight. It's been a long night.
Oh yeah.
It's a long green flag runs, not my thing.
Yep.
Anyway, so who you got to thank for putting that car out there tonight, the 37 Camaro?
Oh, definitely JK Racing and Al Frank, of course, for their support too. It's always nice to bring one back for Justin and keep trying to build this points lead for the halfway break and lock in that chase spot.
Yeah, 100%. It was a great race tonight. Thanks for talking.
Yeah, thank you.
We're going to get Chad Frankenfield. Chad Frankenfield, Vic Bloom up in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
You had a spectacular finish there at the end with Fur. You didn't get him, but you almost had him. Fur, you held off for a good portion of that final run there. Let's talk about your race. How did you think that strategy was actually going to play out, though?
Well, I mean, I think it goes all the way back to the pit stops under the first yellow, well, the only yellow. I actually was going to beat the 37 off pit road, but I actually let him go ahead of me, thinking the 20 would take the bottom. Because if I went up third, I could just go right behind him and then probably get the lead coming off of one. But obviously, he took the top, and it kind of put me on the bottom behind the 37. So I think I was maybe a little bit faster than the 37, but it really wasn't much. I mean, me, him, Adams, Fur, I mean, we were so close. Riggs actually was pretty fast there, too. And, I mean, as you know, I mean, that race was unheard of. Not unheard of, but, I mean, to go, no yellows like that. Really, the only yellow was a solo car. So I was assuming somebody would just smack the wall and yellow. So I figured I'd short pit, but... yeah, I mean, it still worked out. We finished third. Good points. And then congrats to Ethan. I mean, he had a heck of a race. And then hats off to Fur. I mean, he was on fresher tires and very easily probably could have just moved me the hell out of the way. But he kept it cool, and it was neat to drag race him to the line there.
Yeah, he beat you by, I think, 0.04. So not too much. He didn't beat you by a ton tonight. So who you got to thank for putting that 15 Mustang out there on track?
Just Rebel Racing, obviously, with Levi. I appreciate him, everything he does. And then, I appreciate JoinAPS for sponsoring the series, and then all the officials and Double 7 for broadcasting the races. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a wild season. I'm going to tell you that much. I mean, there's no way you could pick a guy to win a race. And there's probably 7 or 8 guys that really could win. So, yeah, I mean, it was just a good race all around.
Yeah, I agree. It was a great race. Hopefully we see more of these long green flag runs out there showing that everybody's improving week to week and practicing. Thanks for talking, though.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, we will get third place, Josh Furr. Josh Furr, Vic Bloom up in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Man, you barely beat Chad Frankenfield.
Yeah, I was trying to be patient with the move, and I finally got the right run on the last lap, and it was just enough at the end.
Yeah, you definitely put on a show. Honestly, I thought, and I think Chad thought, you were going to use the bumper. Was that ever a thought that crossed your mind?
Nah, he's never raced me like that, so I wouldn't do that to him.
Not even for a last lap second place finish.
Nah, because you do it to him, then he has the right to do it to you eventually. So
that's true. Either way, who you got to thank for putting that 00 Mustang out there on track tonight?
Hunt Brothers, obviously. Ford giving me a fast engine today. And the picker, they were great all day, and I just did my best tonight.
Yeah, you did a great job. Thanks for talking.
No problem.
That was Josh Furr, third place finisher. tonight. We had Ethan Burrell, Chad Frankenfield, and Josh Furr, the top three. We got interviews to all three of them. Until next time, actually, I think Justin's not going to get back in time. But yeah, for Justin Krasniski, I'm Vic Bloom. Till next time, I think we'll see you in 2 weeks' time somewhere. I don't know where we're going to see you. I think Texas is where we're going to see you in 2 weeks' time. Until next time, see ya.